Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 8th week, end of the 8th week. The lesson at the end of the 8th week means we have one more month or 4 weeks to go. So now's the time to dig in and sort of get that energy. It's my job to make sure we don't fall away or drift off, but stay focused the last 4 weeks. These are important. So let's get started. We have a really interesting discussion, and it actually revolves around school and education. So if you're a parent, your children are going back to school now. So let's look at education. We've got it right here. Oh, excuse me. So we'll go here to education. Let's ask a few of these questions. And we have, there we go. All right. So a few questions, and I will just say these for pronunciation, and you can repeat after me. Again, I think it's really good to repeat after native speakers, which is why those audio files by English file are very valuable. Number one, what year did the Second World War start? Do you know? 1939. Unless you count what Germany was doing earlier, 1937, 1938. Now, by the way, in English, we say Second World War or World War II, but we don't say World War the Second or World War II. We don't say that. The Second World War or World War II. Number two, which country's longest river is called the Po? Do you know where the Po is? It's the same country where the Pope is, almost. Italy. The Pope actually lives in the Vatican, but Italy is where the Po is in the north. Number 36, this is for pronunciation. What's 36 squared? Squared. Let me write that word down because it's a little bit difficult. What's 36 squared? Do you know the answer? 6. What does USB stand for? That's how we ask that question, so memorize it. What does UNESCO stand for? What does this stand for? What does USB stand for? As in USB cable. I had to look this up, and I think I've forgotten. Universal. I don't remember. I just remember the service. I don't remember. Bus is the last word, and it was really strange. Bus, B-U-S. Strange name. USB is what we know it by. But universal and bus, I forget the middle one. Number 5, who discovered the law of gravity? Practice that word, gravity. That force that pulls us down and keeps us close to the earth. Isaac Newton, an Englishman in the 17th century, came up with that law. Number 6, how many books are there in the Lord of the Rings? Do you know? There are 6. Number 7, in what part of the body is the tibia? Tibia. It's down below the knee, the big bone connecting the knee to your foot. And we don't say knee. This is not pronounced knee. It's pronounced knee. Do you see that there? Knee. All right. That's the tibia. And behind it, the smaller bone is the fibula. I think it's the fibula. Number 8, what's the most common chemical element on Earth? I'll give you a hint. Oxygen. Although it's not the most common element in the galaxy, that would be hydrogen, followed by helium. All right, that's our little academic or school quiz of the day, which we all learn these things in school, but I think we've successfully forgotten them later. Now, you've got some great stuff here. I love these sorts of exercises where you have to complete the school subjects. Next, we have the vocabulary bank for education. So let's go there now, all the way down to education. It's going to be right here. Now, again, the audio file does all the work for me. If you look here, you've got the listening. You listen and check after you complete the task. So you fill in the blank. That's what we call this, fill in the blank. With these words, you'll do the same here in A and B. You've got a lot of fill in the blank. So I'm not going to do that, but I'll talk about a few things called, for example, to be expelled. In the US, you can be expelled. There's another informal word, which is quite interesting, to be kicked out of school. I'll write it here. Kicked out of school. He was kicked out. And I say he because statistically, more boys are kicked out of school or expelled than girls. All right. Cheat. Interestingly, where I grew up, cheating was not something people did very much. The bad students cheated when I grew up, and everyone looked down on them as being lazy. Now, as I've traveled the world, I understand now that cheating is part of the culture, and that cheating is not seen as negative. It's seen as helping your friend or helping your classmates. So this is a very interesting and different perspective. So if a teacher leaves the room, there's guaranteed cheating. If in America, people largely wouldn't when I was growing up, but now I think also it's the same. Everyone's cheating. Now, listen to the pronunciation. Cheat, not sheet. Sheet of paper. We have paper here. This is a sheet of paper. Let me just show you. Here is a sheet of paper. We've got a paper here. I'm talking about cheat. So let's practice. Sheet, cheat. So we don't cheat. That's the one there. And finally, if we go down, I think there's something else. Yes, make, let, and allow. These can be very confusing. My French teacher made me do extra homework. You had to do it. Our IT teacher lets us play, so they allow you. You're able to do it. And again, the head doesn't allow us to take our phones to school. So allow and lets is a little bit similar. Make you do something is different. So if you let us do it, you say you allow it. Making someone do it, you have to do it. You are forced to do it. All right, we got it. We got it here. Let and allow have a similar meaning. All right. Now, if we go back up, we're going to look at the pronunciation of the letter U. This is a great practice, especially because the soft vowel sounds are traditionally more difficult. So, the harder the sound, the easier it is in general, not for everyone, but in general. So true is, this is easier than put. Now, the audio file will be slightly different than my accent because that's more purely British, whereas mine is a little bit between Britain and American accent. So result, alt, that soft U sound is difficult. And guess what? There are 4 of them. So you're going to have to determine, or types of these, and you've got the connections here, and you're going to get some help with 7.5 and 7.6, where you're going to listen and dictate. Actually, they're dictating and you're transcribing, you're writing it down, you're writing what you hear. This is great practice, by the way, not only for listening, but you're writing down correct forms of sentences. So you're learning 2 things at the same time: good listening and proper sentence structure. So you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Listening. Take the listening seriously. As I've mentioned before, if you can understand the listening, you're more confident as a speaker. If you understand what someone else is saying, you're more confident when you speak. If you're not sure what you heard, you're very timid. Timid means shy. You're very timid when you speak. All right, so we've got a lot of listening here, some great practice, especially with numbers and times, so you don't want to skip these. I think it's really important. And I'll be honest, the study here is really interesting. They compare the Chinese versus the British system and ask which is better. The results, I think, might surprise you. Now, the grammar point that I want to focus on is the first conditional and future time clauses. When and until. So you're going to get some more listening. There's a lot of listening today. But then we're going to move straight to the grammar bank, which is right here. And it's where I'm going to spend my time sort of helping you. So we're going to look at the first conditional. The first conditional is used to talk about a possible or probable future situation. So it could very well happen. So for example, and repeat after me for practice, if you work hard, you'll pass your exams. That's very possible to do. Repeat after me. Let's do one on our own here. If you study English hard, you can or you will get an international job. All right. The teacher won't be very pleased if we're late for class. So now the if is in the second part. The teacher will not be very pleased if we are late for class. Number 2, come. This is imperative. Come, you come. So it's imperative. Do it. Come and see us next week if you have time. It's another form of the first conditional. And finally, Allison won't get into university unless she gets good grades. Here we use unless instead of if. I won't go unless you go too. Now, how would we say this with if? I won't go if you don't go. I won't go unless you go. You see how it's different? Means the same thing, but we arrive at the meaning with different structure. I won't go unless you go. I won't go if you don't go. Same meaning, different forms because of the different words. Now we have future time. Now you're going to have homework here to do with A and B. Future tense clauses. We'll have dinner when your father gets home. This is the future, but with future, we use present tense in the if clause, not future. So we will have dinner is that's fine, but this part has to be in present tense. When your father gets home, not when your father will get home. No. We'll have dinner, that can be in the future, when your father, present simple, gets home. As soon as you get your exams, call me. Here again, present simple for the future. We haven't got it. You will get them in the future, but you use it, you express this in present simple. I will not go to bed until you come home. Present simple. I'll have a quick lunch before I leave. And finally, after I finish university, present simple, I will, future, I will probably take a year off and travel. All right, so I've sort of discussed a lot of these, and now it will be up to you to do the homework. So take your time. If something is a little bit more difficult, like these this first conditional, I'll help you with additional homework, and we'll talk a little bit about it during the live. Happy studying, and speak to you very soon. Bye-bye.